Hey guys, welcome to the Pro Play Games YouTube channel. Daniel Altavilla here, sponsored player for the Pokemon team. I recently just had a top 32, I believe 26th place finish at the North American International Championships. There were about 1550 or something like that attending, so that is like better than like 1,500 people, so I don't know, I'm pretty excited about the finish, and I just wanted to go over the deck that I used. So, actually, you know what, real quick before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to Ahmed Ali, fellow PPG member, and John Kettler, fellow PPG member, for making day 2 as well. I believe John finished in the top 32 as well, and Ahmed finished 11th or something, so great for them. Congrats. Ben Potter also ended up making day 2 on PPG, I believe with a top 64 finish. I think he was aiming for 64th after a while, so congrats to him for the 64th. That's pretty funny. And yeah, so I think PPG had a great showing at NAIC. I'm proud of the boys, and let's get into it. So we have 4 Buzzwole GX, best card, best attacker at least in the game. Right now, you have, focus. You have Jet Punch, which does 30 for 1 energy, and then 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. You have Knuckle Impact, which does 160, and you can't attack on your next turn, which is a pretty solid, like, you know, balance of the card, considering it only takes 3 fighting energy, and it's a basic that you can set up with Elixir and B-String. And then Absorption GX, which is essentially just used as a Knuckle Impact without the drawback, but with the drawback of being a GX tech. So that one does 40 for each prize you have remaining. It can be used early game to help alleviate some of the pressure your opponent might be putting on you with a Pokemon that Knuckle Impact you can't knock out. So I think that is a pretty solid 3 attacks. And I guess the whole idea of the deck is you Jet Punch early to pressure them. You put 2 energies on a Buzz GX, and you're like, you better kill my Buzz GX. And then if they do, you just go Garb, and you to 4 B-String, and then Absorption into Knuckle Impact. So that's really good. It's a pretty good deck. Like, fundamentally, it's, in my opinion, fundamentally, it's the best deck in the game right now. My reasoning for that is that you overpower decks sometimes, to the point where even if you didn't run Garb, you just win. And then other games, you just go Garb N, and they're just like, they look at their hand, and they're like, shake, you got it. So, but moving on, we have Baby Buzz with Sledgehammer and Swing Around. We mostly use it for Sledgehammer. You set up knockouts, and I use it in the Zoric matchup mostly. Like in Zoric matchup, I put Fury Belt on it. It has 170 HP, can't get knocked out by a Reverse Valley. They need to have Field Blower, which if they have it, they're probably in a good position already anyways. So what you do is you go Sledgehammer, get a knockout, and then try to Guzma, maybe Sledgehammer for two more prizes. Keep them at 4, and just keep setting up knockouts. This card has gotten me 5 prizes with the same Buzzwole, I believe, in 1 game against Zoric, and most of the time it nets 3 to 4 prizes against them while it's alive. So very good against Buzzwole, very good in Mirror for Swing Around. You can go like Sledgehammer with a strong energy, attach Sledgehammer, attach Swing Around, get the knockout even without having to flip heads, so that's pretty good. But besides that, the card doesn't really have much of a use. It's like you'll know when it comes up, and then other times it's like Buzz GX is just better. 2/2 Garb. The reason for this is, for this Trubbish at least, is that we're not running Acid Spray, because if our opponent goes like bench Mew-EX, attach a Rainbow to it, or attach Psychic to it, they can copy Acid Spray on the bench, flip heads, discard an energy on Buzzwole, which sets us back. It's kind of like knocking out a Buzz, because at least that's how I like to put it, because of the severity of it, because it's like, I have a 2 energy Buzzwole in active position. Next turn, I can Knuckle Impact. But if you discard my energy, next turn I'm forced to Jet Punch. And you just put a Mew-EX in my face, or, you know, whatever else copies Trubbish, I guess just Mew-EX. And now I can not Knuckle Impact, so I can't pressure you. I gotta deal with the Mew, and yeah, so I believe that this Trubbish is definitely the better Trubbish. If they stomp us off and they don't hit a B-string or a fighting energy, you're just helping me out, bud. You're just thinning my deck out. So, and then obviously Garb, I explained earlier. You shut off abilities and then you end them and then you just knock out all their guys with the best attacker in the game. It's just a broken deck. Lastly, we have 2 Tapu Lele GX for consistency and grabbing our supporters. And speaking of our supporters, we have 4N. Staple and Garb decks. If you're not playing 4N, then why are you playing Garb? Because the whole point of Garb is to put your opponent in a lock. Most of the time, at least. For Cynthia. Because I will get into that in a sec. 3 Guzma. Normally you would play 4, but we're playing Countercatcher. 1 Sycamore, which would explain the 4 Cynthia. So most decks play 4 Sycamore, 4N, or 3N, and then like a middle ground count of Cynthia. But this deck is just going 4N, 4 Cynthia, 1 Sycamore because you have so many out of focus again. You have so many important cards that you don't want to Sycamore away. So we're just aiming for the shuffle draw here, more so than the Sycamore. You still play the 1 because it's like the best supporter in the game, and sometimes you just burn your hand out in Sycamore. One time, one round at Nats, my starting hand was B-string, Sycamore, B-string, Sycamore, fighting, BuzzGarb, top deck, Guzma, and then I had to Sycamore all that away. So definitely it's rough like 5% of the time, but the other 95% of the time it's really good. And then 1 Lily, because sometimes we need a lot of stuff turn 1, so Lily is the best turn 1 supporter, so we have it because of how easy it is to find it. 4 Dust Ball for consistency in grabbing out our Trubbishes and in grabbing out our Buzzwoles without having to discard anything. 3 Mysterious Treasure. The same idea as Nest Ball, but we're discarding 1 card. It's better than Ultra Ball because we don't have to discard 2, and we can still grab most of our Pokemon with it. 6 out of 11. Or, yeah, 6 out of 11. But that's like a semi-drawback because you can't grab Buzzwoles with it. 4 B-string for consistency. We live and die by the ring. 4 Fighting Fury Belt to help like late game to give you a 230 HP attacker that's just like absorption. Can you deal with me? And then if they say no, you're like ha 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 ha, and just take your money bags to the bank. 4 Floatstone. Best tool to run with Garb to give it free retreat, because otherwise it has a whopping 3 Order Pad to help us find some of this stuff, especially our B strings. It's like playing 7 B strings, or like, I think it's like statistically like playing 5.5 B strings, I think. So that's still better than just playing 4. And then it also grabs everything else in the deck, including Random Receiver, which let you look at the top card of your deck until you find a supporter, put it in your hand. I've random receivered into Guzma before to win a game that I shouldn't have won. Random receivered into N before. Sometimes I've random receivered looking for an N and hit a Guzma. So, you know, it's better than not having anything. It's essentially an extra supporter, but you can grab it off Order Pad, so that's broken. Same idea with Countercatcher. It's like a Guzma you can grab off Order Pad. It only works sometimes, but most of the time you're behind, and then sometimes you can just make yourself behind so that you can utilize this. For example, you're at 2, your opponent's at 3, you just pass until they go down to 1, and then you Countercatcher. 3, 6, 7, basic fighting energy. That is the perfect number because you can prize, you would have to prize 3, which is really hard to do already. And then you would have to draw into them, even though you have 3 prized, and you're pulling a shuffle draw supporter every turn. You would have to have 1 in hand the turn that you B-string in order to not be able to use 2 B-strings that game. But most games you're not going to have 3 prized and you're not going to be hitting them or discarding them, so you can use B-string at least twice, which is really good. It also doesn't bog the deck down with energy since we're not playing Max Elixir. Then we have 4 Strongs and 1 Beast. Beast Energy is essentially Rainbow Energy for Ultra Beasts, but it's also a plus 30 attack boost. That's good because it lets our Jet Punch do more damage. We can get knockouts on basics. We can set up 2 shots or 3 shots, and then that really puts on the pressure. It also, they let us hit the 180 plus Fury Belt mark to hit 190 against other Buzzwoles. It also lets us hit the 190 without a Fury Belt mark if you hit the Beast Ring, or the Beast Energy rather. And pretty much it's like when you have so many pieces that you need to one-shot a Buzzwole GX, it's like, why wouldn't you maximize this? So, you know, just another one of the pieces that you need. But yeah, so that's the deck. It's really strong. I don't think people understand how to play it very well, so they're calling it bad. But if you ever pick it up and play it, then you guys will see that it is a pretty strong deck, and it definitely is a force to be reckoned with. I don't think it gets bad for Worlds. I think, in fact, it might just end up getting better because of that spicy new Tord deck that came out, which I will eat for breakfast every time because I don't care about your weakness policy. I'm aiming to set up your board for one-shots anyways, so you need to hit a lot of stuff under Garb and N. So another deck that we're not too afraid of is Rayquaza, if we can get Garb out fast enough, but if not, then that deck definitely seems scary. And then besides that, I think the deck's just good against stuff like Malamar. Like, yeah, Malamar can, you know, take advantage of their field blow returns better than any other deck, but they have to get there first, so. But thanks for watching, guys. Shout out to Pro Play Games and Ultra Pro as usual. Check out both of their websites, and I hope that you guys will utilize BuzzGarb, give it a chance, test it a little bit more, and see that it's really a great deck. So, thanks, guys, and I will catch you on the flip side.